So here we have the Air Jordan 5 Black Racer Blue, and this is by Awake New York. And this sneaker, I suppose, was one of those ones which is quite limited. I'm surprised I actually hit on these, and yeah, just glad to, I suppose, get this pair because, like I said, they're very sort of limited in numbers. And I think with these Awake New Yorks, you know, they did have a collab back in the day on the airships, and those are also cool, which came out last year. I really like them personally. I think they have some really good materials and really good execution, and one of the better airships to release because there were so many different collabs of airships over the previous 2 years. And this one, I think, you know, they've also done a good job on. The pink pair also look really nice, but it's not something that I would wear. And this black colorway, you know, potentially I could wear, but, you know, I'm glad to kind of get these just for review purposes as well, I guess, and you know, sort of check them out. Like I said, they're limited numbers, so I feel kind of lucky that I managed to grab a pair. I wasn't expecting to, in all honesty, and sort of help, you know, just basically I probably wouldn't have paid resale for them, to be honest, either. And then it comes in this box that you see here, and you do get some goodies with this as well. So inside the pack you get some laces, which is the white and blue. I think both of these would probably work very, very well. And you also get like a dual branded Nike tag, which is with Awake New York as well. And lastly, which they did on the airships, you do get a sticker pack. Sometimes what you'll find is, depending on where you order it from, someone's probably sniped them out of the box, so just be careful of that. And then on the box label itself, you can sort of see it says Air Jordan 5 Retro OG SP, which is special projects, and comes in Black Racer Blue, and then it's my size. Yeah, so the dual branding of the box is really cool. On the back it's kind of representing the 5 boroughs of New York, which is also really nice, and just a cool touch. I think the original pair was, you know, the pink pair that came out was basically influenced by, as far as I remember, the walls of, you know, basically where the store is, you know, opposite the store. So I'm not sure I suppose the influence for the black pair, but obviously this being kind of, you know, again, probably influenced by New York in general. You know, a lot of people do wear black sneakers there anyway. And yeah, you know, the details around this with the Jordan 5 in general, it has like a polyurethane midsole, and then it's got air unit in the heel, and also one in the forefoot, as far as I remember. You know, and they feel very similar to, I guess, a Jordan 4 and a Jordan 3, slightly more sort of neutral on foot, I guess. And then the outsole, you can sort of see here, it's got a clear outsole with sort of herringbone traction, which is really nice, and you can see it's got the Awake New York branding on there as well. And then going on to the upper, you can kind of see and smell like the leather feels of that sort of more nicer quality. I wouldn't say like they're premium, but it's much better than what you normally get with the GR one. Essentially, you know, they do smell of leather, and I did watch the I guess the interview that they had with Complex on YouTube, and on that, you know, they sort of said they're sort of more focused on quality, and that's why they're sort of limited in pairs, and similar to the airship as well, they're focused on quality, and those ones did have really nice leather as well. What I also like is this A logo. That would have been really difficult to do, and they did say that it was quite difficult to sort of execute and keep it consistent for different sizes. I do like the hit of the NY, and then you got the Nike Air sort of stitched in at the back, which you would normally get on OG pairs. And at the front, you can see on the tongue as well, it's got the Awake New York branding. On the other side of the sneaker, you know, you got the 23, which is really, really cool, and representing sort of Michael Jordan. So I think, you know, it's nice that it's got that kind of touch to it. The leather itself is, you know, it's all pretty much leather material, and it's obviously got the contrast stitching. And you can kind of see when I do the toe press, you know, the leather is not like one of those sort of tumbly levels or really soft leathers, but it's got some sort of nice sort of grain to it. It feels quite sort of thick as well. So I think, you know, it take a little bit of breaking time in my opinion, but I think other than that, you know, it feels nice in hand. And like I said, it's got that kind of leathery smell to it. So the comfort, I mean, it's an Air Jordan 5 at the end of the day. I mean, it's not going to be like majorly comfortable, but I'm like, don't know if it's because I haven't worn Air Jordan 5s for a little while. This one feels really nice on foot actually, and you know, this is the insole that you get. It's a Dreamcell insole, which probably isn't that great, but it feels really nice, really sort of neutral. I'm not sure if they've done anything different with this particular pair, but yeah, I found it to be very comfortable. On the upper, there's no sort of pressure points either. I feel good, you know, putting them on feet. Obviously, being a high top, they're going to be a bit constricted with like the upper, you know, I always find that, and I've just got like, you know, bigger sort of calves really anyway, so I always find that in bigger sort of ankle area. So and because these are sort of padded, you will kind of sort of feel that. That's the only thing that I sort of see with these. But apart from that, you know, they're kind of on the medium going towards the sort of firm side. They do have a little bit of softness, a little bit of cushioning to them, but not that much. They're quite sort of neutral on foot, in all honesty. And then the outsole, like I said earlier, because we've got sort of herringbone traction on it, they're very sort of grippy as well. In wet weather, they're not so much, but generally speaking, if you're sort of walking around in them, then you'll be fine. They're very good in that respect. And like I said earlier, the wearing time with these, with the upper being quite sort of easy and not restrictive in my opinion, and I've kind of loosely laced them and they've been fine, and I went true to size on them as well. So Jordan 5s usually true to size works for me. They usually run quite big anyway. And then in general, yeah, they feel nice on foot, and the leather material I think will probably take a little bit of breaking time. I probably reckon anywhere between 5 to 10 hours depending on your foot shape. So with the look and style, I mean, I went through the actual look said earlier on. As far as I can see, the netting is still 3M, and so is the tongue, which is a really nice touch. Unlike the Jordan 5 Reimagined, which I didn't get, this doesn't have the 3M piping, which I'm fine with because it's got the contrast stitching. And I think they were going for something a bit more low-key anyway, and a bit kind of neutral and, sort of OG looking, but with a twist on it. And I think Awake New York, in my opinion, I think they're really good in terms of their collabs and what they do. But that's, that's my opinion. But the overall look, like I said, I think is really cool because of the black. It's very easy to sort of pair with different outfits. So it looks good on just wearing all black, or you could probably put it with blue. On my on-feet videos, I tried to wear some like blue pants just to kind of offset it a bit. But yeah, overall, I think you can sort of rock these pretty good. You can also probably wear them with jeans and maybe even chinos because there's a collab. I know it's quite sort of loud because of the stitching, but if you've got sort of loose pants that go over this area, then I think you can get away with wearing them even for sort of smart wear, in my opinion. So with the ratings, I mean, this year's been kind of like really big for like trainers in general, and if I'm honest, Jordan 5 isn't my favourite silhouette, but I still have a bit of a warm place in my heart for it because it came out after Jordan 4, and at that time back in the early 90s, Jordan was all the hype, and the next sneaker was, people were still going crazy for the Jordan 5s, maybe not as much as the Jordan 4, but still it had garnered a lot of popularity, and it's probably still regarded as one of the top Jordan sneakers as well. So for that reason, like I said, because of the execution and the way Awake New York have done their thing, I think they've pushed the boat out enough to give it their own spin, but also kept it true to the OGs. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 5. I think it's a really cool sneaker. In terms of comfort, obviously it's an Air Jordan 5, but it's not uncomfortable, so for that reason I'm going to go with a 4. I think they're fine on foot, and you can kind of wear them all day and be okay, in my opinion. It's just the fact that they're bulky, so they're more sort of suited to autumn-winter time. Quality, 5, again, I didn't notice anything too wrong with this pair. It's actually got nice leather, like I said, smells nice as well, and generally speaking, a very nice pair and very nice executed. And in terms of cost, I think that's where it kind of fails. These were priced, I think, at £200 or £180. Quite a lot of money. I guess it's $220 in America. But yeah, it's just one of those things, really. Just Jordan 5s in general is quite expensive. I think for all this sort of collab where they've kind of went the extra mile and made some adjustments, I think I don't mind paying a little bit more for it. But £190, £200 is quite a bit still for a really sort of old retro sneaker. And for overall, I'll give the score a 5. I think for me, like, the sneaker itself is just a really cool piece of footwear. I think one of the more unique ones to come out this year, in my opinion. I think the Undefeated 4s are still the top dog, I think, at the moment, from what I can see. And hopefully I'm trying to sort of grab a pair so I can review as well those in time. But yeah, I was really interested in getting a pair of Undefeated 4s, but I sort of missed out on them. But this is a really good pair as well, and don't get me wrong, it's still a very nice pair. If it came out in any other year, I think it could be sneaker contender as well, kind of thing. But yeah, like I said, if you're into Jordan 5s, then I think this one's a must-have.